The drama of Mike D has finally been revealed, and it's not what you think. Yes, the Beastie Boys were once called appallingly sexist and noxious, but this story isn't about staying in that dark place. It's about one of the most remarkable transformations in music history. When Adam Yauch died from cancer on May 4th, 2012, just a month after the Beastie Boys were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, it marked the end of more than just a band. For Mike D, losing Yauch meant losing his closest older brother. The surviving member described how he doesn't think about Yauch in terms of his death, but in the form of his life. Even now, when Mike D pushes himself creatively in new ventures, he feels a voice of approval in his head from Yauch, saying, "Yeah, you gotta do it." But to understand why this loss was so devastating, we need to go back to the beginning. Michael Louis Diamond was born on November 20th, 1965, and grew up on the liberal Upper West Side of Manhattan during a time of urban chaos in New York City. His musical journey started early when he stole records from his older brothers, listening to everything from the Jackson 5 to the Beatles to Motown artists. This diverse foundation would later become crucial to his success. Everything changed when young Mike D saved up money to buy Steve Miller's Fly Like an Eagle album and learned to play drums. He described this moment as game over, a creative turning point that shaped his entire artistic path. His first bands included the Walden Jazz Band and Band, but things got serious when he joined the hardcore punk group the Young Aborigines in 1979. The band featured Mike D on drums, John Barry on guitar, Kate Schellenbach on percussion, and Jeremy Chatan on bass. When Chatan left New York, a friend named Adam Yauch took over on bass. At John Barry's suggestion, they changed their name to the Beastie Boys. The name later got the backronym Boys Entering Anarchistic States Towards Inner Excellence, though Mike D and Yauch both admitted this was just an afterthought. Their early work was pure New York hardcore. Their first show was at Yauch's 17th birthday party, and they quickly built a reputation playing at legendary venues like CBGB and opening for acts like Bad Brains and Dead Kennedys. In 1982, they released their 8-song punk EP, Pollywog Stew. If you're enjoying this story of transformation and want to see more content like this, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And I'm curious, Abaki, what do you think it takes for someone to completely change their public persona? Let me know in the comments below. The band's direction took a sharp turn after their 1983 experimental hip-hop single, Cookie Puss, became an unexpected underground club hit. This success, combined with their growing interest in hip-hop, motivated them to fully transition to the new genre. This shift had consequences. Kate Schellenbach was pushed out because she didn't fit the group's new bro-centric direction. Adam Horovitz, known as Ad Rock, joined as her replacement, creating the classic trio of Mike D, MCA, and Ad Rock. Their collaboration with producer Rick Rubin and his Def Jam label proved pivotal. They released successful singles like Rock Hard in 1984 and even supported Madonna on her 1985 Virgin Tour. But their real breakthrough came with their 1986 debut album, License to Ill. It became the first rap album to hit #1 on the Billboard 200 and sold over 9 million copies, making it one of the best-selling rap albums of the 1980s. However, this success came with a dark side. The album's original title was Don't Be a Faggot, which Columbia Records rejected due to its homophobic nature. The final album was filled with what Mike D and his bandmates later called appallingly sexist content. Songs like Girls contained lyrics such as "Girls to do the dishes," "Girls to clean up my room," "Girls to do my laundry," which Ad Rock would later recite with visible shame in documentaries. Their live shows were equally problematic, featuring women in cages dancing on stage and a giant hydraulic penis. These weren't just stage props, they led to a riotous reputation, arrests, and lawsuits. According to Kate Schellenbach, the band members would put on hip-hop swagger, make sexist jokes, and act like knuckleheads, especially around producer Rick Rubin. The hit single, Fight for Your Right to Party, perfectly captured their failed attempt at irony. While Ad Rock claimed it was meant to parody frat boy culture, it attracted exactly the wildly obnoxious fan base that took the message seriously. The song's failure as social commentary taught a crucial lesson about artistic expression. A parody can be so effective that it ends up promoting the very behavior it meant to mock. But here's where the story gets interesting. The Beastie Boys didn't stay in this problematic space. Following their departure from Def Jam due to creative differences, they moved to Los Angeles and began deliberately shifting away from their adolescent persona. Their second album, Paul's Boutique, showcased a more complex, sample-heavy sound and mature lyrics, even though it wasn't an instant commercial success. The band's transformation wasn't a single event, but a sustained, multi-year process that began in the mid-1990s. The first major step came with Adam Yauch's verse on the 1994 song Sure Shot from Ill Communication. Yauch explicitly declared, "I want to say a little something that's long overdue. The disrespect to women has got to be through. To all the mothers and the sisters and the wives and friends, I want to offer my love and respect to the end." Ad Rock followed with a formal written apology to Time Out New York, stating, "There are no excuses, but time has healed our stupidity. We hope that you'll accept this long overdue apology." This pattern continued with their 2018 memoir, Beastie Boys book, where Mike D and Ad Rock openly wrestled with celebrating their success when the foundation was, in their words, wobbly and in places rotten. These weren't just empty words. The band backed up their apologies with real actions. They publicly asked the Prodigy not to play their song Smack My Bitch Up at a festival where both groups were performing. At the 1999 MTV Video Music Awards, they used their acceptance speech to draw attention to sexual assaults at Woodstock '99, urging the music industry to take responsibility for women's safety at live shows. They even started changing the lyrics of their old songs during live performances to be more progressive. What caused this dramatic change? It was a combination of internal discomfort with what they called their idiot caricatures and external influences, particularly the women in their lives. Ad Rock's relationship with Bikini Kill frontwoman Kathleen Hanna was cited as a key catalyst for their feminist awakening. Mike D's marriage to filmmaker Tamara Davis also coincided with this period of growth. Yauch was often seen as the group's moral conscience, the driving force behind their activist work and events like the Tibetan Freedom Concerts. His death removed what Mike D called the ballast that had guided their transformation from a problematic act to a socially conscious artistic group. As Ad Rock put it simply, Adam started the band, so it's done. The band's respect for Yauch continues even today. His will contained a strict provision against commercial use of Beastie Boys music, and Mike D and Ad Rock have honored this request, even pursuing legal action against companies trying to use their songs for advertising. Since the band's dissolution, Mike D has proven his identity extends far beyond being a musician. Even during the Beastie Boys' prime, he served as their business director, launching ventures like Grand Royal Records, which signed acclaimed artists like Luscious Jackson, Ben Lee, and At the Drive-In. He co-founded Grand Royal Magazine, started the X Large clothing line, and helped organize the Tibetan Freedom Concerts. Mike D's creative interests have always been diverse. His mother, Hester Diamond, was a renowned figure in interior design, and Mike D has followed in her footsteps. He designed Brooklyn-themed Brooklyn Toil wallpaper used in renovating New York's marquee nightclub in Chelsea. He's continued creating wallpaper designs, clothing, and bag collections, calling it his aesthetic nonsense. His post-2012 musical work has remained collaborative, reflecting the spirit that defined the Beastie Boys. He's produced albums for bands like Portugal, The Man, and the English punk duo Soft Play. He's worked with Ad Rock on remixes for artists like Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band, where they're credited with additional beats, programming, and other curveballs. Mike D has also expanded into radio, hosting and curating the Echo Chamber on Apple Music's Beats Part. Fast Radio. He curated a multi-week art showcase called Transmission LAAV Club at the Los Angeles Museum of Contemporary Art, focusing on the relationship between visual art and music. What makes Mike D's post-Beastie Boys career so fascinating is how it reflects the same creative curiosity that originally drove the band's genre-hopping success. Just as they seamlessly moved from punk to hip-hop in the 1980s, Mike D has continued to cross boundaries between music, visual arts, fashion, and media. His work with the Latch Brothers, creating soundtracks for video games like Jet Set Radio Future, shows his willingness to explore new creative territories. The breadth of his ventures reveals someone who views creativity as a holistic experience rather than being confined to a single medium. His interior design work, particularly the Brooklyn Toilet wallpaper project, demonstrates how his New York roots continue to influence his artistic vision. The wallpaper design wasn't just decorative art, it was a cultural statement that merged his personal history with contemporary design trends. His role as a producer for bands like Portugal. The Man in Soft Play also shows his commitment to nurturing other artists' creative development. Rather than stepping back from the music industry entirely, he's chosen to support emerging talent while maintaining the collaborative spirit that defined his work with the Beastie Boys. This mentorship approach suggests he's learned valuable lessons about artistic integrity and wants to share that knowledge with the next generation. The Echo Chamber radio show represents another dimension of his creative evolution. Through curating music and hosting discussions, he's able to continue the cultural conversation that the Beastie Boys started decades ago. The show allows him to showcase diverse artists and musical styles, reflecting the same eclectic taste that made the band's sample-heavy albums so innovative. His continued collaboration with Ad Rock on various remixes and projects proves that the creative partnership between the surviving members remains strong. Their work on remixes for artists like Yoko Ono Plastic Ono Band shows they're still pushing creative boundaries together, honoring both their past innovations and their ongoing artistic growth. The story of Mike D isn't just about a musician who made mistakes and apologized. It's about genuine transformation, sustained over decades, backed by real actions and continued growth. His ongoing creative work, which he says feels guided by Yao's voice of approval, ensures the Beastie Boys' legacy remains a living, breathing part of culture, rather than just a static piece of music history. This transformation from controversy to consciousness, from problematic personas to genuine social awareness, makes Mike D's story one of the most compelling redemption arcs in entertainment history. It proves that people can genuinely change, that apologies can be meaningful when backed by consistent action, and that creativity doesn't have to end when one chapter closes. If this story of personal growth and artistic evolution resonated with you, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the complex lives of music legends. The journey from license to ill to genuine social consciousness shows us that even the most problematic beginnings can lead to meaningful change.